Hello Year 5, welcome to Monday's English lesson where we are looking at can I use figurative language. Now we've done some figurative language before when we were doing our poetry units where we were looking at similes and metaphors. So this should not be brand new information to you. We use figurative language to make our writing pop, to make it really exciting for the reader to read. So one of the ways we do that is by using the skill that we are going to learn today. So let's get going. Here is a sentence that I've written. It said, "The wind whispered a warning to the guests inside the inn." The wind whispered a warning to the guests inside the inn. So my first question is this true? Is it a factual sentence? And how do you know? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not a factual sentence. The wind did not whisper a warning to the guests inside the inn. So why do you think I wrote it like this? Why do you think an author would write a sentence like this? The wind whispered a warning to the guests inside the inn. Now, normally in class, I'd ask you to feedback some ideas. Sadly, can't do that until next Monday when we'll have you back in. So I'll tell you why I think the author writes like this. It makes you think about how the wind is sounding to the people inside the inn. It's quite a quiet, whispery wind noise. Also, it makes me think, we've got the phrase whispered a warning. It makes me think that something dramatic is about to happen. We're quite scared, something creepy is going to happen, and the wind is trying to let us know, even though it isn't actually letting us know. Now, I wonder if you know what this skill is called. This is the skill of personification, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay, so personification is when we give an object, animal, or idea human qualities. We always use a verb a human could do and an object or animal that couldn't do them in real life. So we always use a verb that a human can do and an object or animal or idea that cannot do them in real life. Okay, so for example, we might have the stars danced in the sky. The stars danced in the sky. The stars don't actually dance, but it looks like they're dancing in the sky. Okay, in the jungle, the lion sings tonight. That's a nice little song. I hope you've got that in your head. I know it's in my head too now. Okay, but does a lion actually sing or does it roar? We can sing. That is a verb that a human could do, but it is not something a lion could do. And that cake, that's our object, is calling my name. It's calling my name. Now, I don't think when I bake cakes that if I make a really nice one, it's actually going to go, "Miss Rutherford, eat me." But in my mind, I really want to eat it. So that cake is calling my name. So that is 3 examples of some personification where we've got the verb, which is something that a human can do, but that the object, animal, or idea cannot. Okay. All right. So now it's your turn. Can you have a go at writing out this sentence? Write out this sentence for me in your books. Can you underline where the personification is? So write it out and highlight it. And you can pause me, and then when you've done that, unpause me again, and we will go over where the personification is in this sentence. Okay. So unpause me when you're ready. Hopefully you've spotted that the trees danced to the wind's singing. We've got the trees danced. Trees don't actually dance to the wind's singing. The wind doesn't actually sing, but we've got 2 verbs there. One explaining what the tree's doing and one explaining what the wind is doing. Okay, now I've got 2 examples of personification here. I want you to decide which one is better and convince me. So, number 1, the mountain stood proudly, or number 2, the mountain jumped wildly. Well, we've got the mountain stood proudly, it can't stand, can it? And the mountain jumped wildly. A mountain can't jump. So it's both using personification, but which one is better? Okay, have a think about it. Maybe write down your answer. I'll tell you which one I think is better. I think actually the mountain jumped wildly. I don't think that's a very good sentence, because actually I'm now thinking of a mountain going zigzagging around and jumping all over the place, and actually mountains don't do that. Mountains don't move, so this is just going to confuse my reader, and they're not really going to understand what I'm talking about. So it's really important when you're choosing your personification that you choose one that fits with what the object is actually doing. The mountain stood proudly makes me think of a really tall, glamorous, maybe not glamorous, but a very tall, brilliant looking mountain towering over me, and it's going to make me think, wow, this mountain's been here forever. But the mountain jumped wildly makes me think that the mountain is a bit like a helium balloon that's been let loose and it's going to go whizzing around the place. And that's not what's happening in my story. Okay, so that's why it's really important that we think about which verb choices we're making when we are describing an object. If we were describing what could we describe? If we were describing the sea and it was really choppy, I could say the waves jumped wildly, because the waves aren't actually jumping, but that would describe their movement really well. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here is a you do. What verb would you use to describe the sound the wind makes? Okay, write out the sentence in your book, starting with the wind, ... Tell me, what sound does the wind make using personification? So don't forget that you're going to need your verb in there. Okay, you're going to have to put in your verb. Ooh, I'm not going to miss writing with my mouse. You're going to need to put your verb in there, which is something that a human can do, but that the wind cannot typically do. All right, when you're ready, unpause me and we will move on. Okay, here is your first main activity today. You've got 2 levels. Pick the level that's right for you. Number 1, can you match the personification with the objects? And number 2, can you write a sentence using personification for each of the objects, okay? Try and use creative verbs that suit the object you're describing. So try and make it really sparkle with pizzazz, but make sure you're using words that fit the object that you are describing, okay? All right, have a go. When you're ready, you can unpause me and we'll carry on with this lesson. Okay, I'm going to carry on now. Hopefully you've done your first activity. Okay, here's a little bit of a recap. What is a metaphor? Can you remember? Now, a metaphor is a description of something, describing it as something it is not. For example, the sun is a flaming golf ball. It is not a flaming golf ball, but we've decided to say that it is a flaming golf ball to really help our reader picture the sun that we are describing, okay? So it's saying something is something else. The sun is a flaming golf ball. Can you write your own metaphor for the sun in your books for me? So write, the sun is what? How are you going to describe the sun? Think about what brilliant describing words you could use, where we've used flaming here. What describing words could you use to describe the sun? Okay. Once you've written that down, then we'll carry on with the lesson, okay? All right, here is your main task today, okay? So if you are working at the learning level, can you write metaphors to describe the pictures that you were working with in the first activity? Or everybody else, could you do me a mini burst, okay? I want you to describe the White Horse Tavern from our story using metaphors and personification, okay? So think about, maybe you could describe the door that creaks open. Could you find a way to use a metaphor or a personification to describe that? Could you describe the bar? Is it a shiny bar? Is it kept really nicely, or is it old and falling apart? How will you use metaphors and personification to help your reader picture the White Horse Tavern that you see in your mind, okay? If you want to hear a description of the White Horse Tavern, then you're welcome to go back over this last week's guided reading videos to hear me reading the start of our book where they are in the White Horse Tavern. All right, guys, have a fantastic Monday. Mrs. E will be back with you tomorrow to do some more figurative language work with you. Have a great Monday. Bye-bye.